We need horror now more than ever. And this is why our genre is so significant, and this is why so many people connect with it so deeply, because horror allows us to process and feel the pain and suffering and traumatic experiences of the world around us, whether that's on a macro or micro level of our own personal despair, or the tragedy and sadness of millions and millions of people. This is Poe. He wanted to join. We should have a black cat in a horror video. Oh, baby. But whether we're processing the experience of our own self or of a large and vast collective pain, it's something that our genre does very well, and it is a safe way to process and live through these elements of the human experience and these elements of humanity that every single person will have to experience at some point. Everyone will have to face fear in their lifetime at some point. Everyone will have to face loss and devastation and loss of mortality. That is something that horror, I think, does so perfectly, is it helps us examine death. It helps us come to process grief, and whether that's through literal hauntings or through some vicious bloody gore or running from a serial killer or finding our way out of an unknown forest. Horror captures that very primal, very deep part of our brain that is in our innate human behavior to force ourselves to survive, to want to protect other people from harm, and to want to continue to take the risk enough to live because there's a reason to, because we have a family to get back to, because we have our best friend with us out in those woods, because we have other people that make it worth it to survive. And our genre provides that outlet for people to live vicariously through these characters who are experiencing pain and fear on levels that are parallel to our own. So even if we're in a slasher, and yeah, that narrative is a stretch from us having to fight the woes of, like I was saying, so whether that's a slasher that is a vengeance narrative, gives you the empowerment and feeling of being able to cope by seeing someone else get the bad guy, seeing something come full circle where all of the pain and sadness and difficulty in the world, someone survives, or someone gets justice for everyone. Or even if a lot of horror is very bleak and doesn't have a happy ending, or some always a very empowering ending. That's not always the case. But even in that, we feel a catharsis in seeing other people's experience of fear and mortality and pain and loss, because it is the one thing that every single human knows and understands, as different as we think we are and as varied as our lives might be. That is the thing that everyone knows. And if they haven't yet, they don't know it yet, they will. They absolutely will. And there's no other genre that connects people in that way. Not everyone is going to experience space or time travel. Not everyone is going to meet a magical unicorn. Not everyone is going to care or resonate with literary fiction. And I mean, all these things are just stupid markers for all the same thing. But the distinctive element of horror is that it forces us to face things that are inevitably that are in the back of our mind and a carnal part of our humanity. And I think that's what makes this so powerful, and I think that's why people have such an averse reaction to it, because they know, like, this is so distressing, I don't want to feel this way, I feel this way enough. Or it's the opposite, I want to experience a a release for these feelings. I want to put these feelings somewhere else. I want to see them distributed in a story in a way that gives me hope, weirdly enough. Cherish your horror stories. Keep them with you. Know that they can give you strength and they can help you process some of the things that bring us pain right now. And that's magical. That's something that I love so much about this genre. It teaches us how to be human. It reminds us that we are human. It reminds us of the inevitable, difficult truths of our own mortality. And it reminds us that not everyone, that there are monsters in this world. And if we don't look at them, that doesn't mean they're going to go away. So remember that. You might not like horror. Maybe it's not for you. And that's totally fine. Everyone has a right to decide what type of stories they let into their mind and into their hearts. But that doesn't mean that this isn't a significant genre, and that doesn't mean that this genre doesn't kick ass. Read your horror stories. Let them take you away from the real world horror stories. And remember that we're all in this together, that there are monsters out there, but we can fight them in our storytelling.